So we're going live. Hello. Today is what? Today is Wednesday, April 8th, 2015, and we have. I have a topic. Before announcing the topic, let me say hi to everybody. So I have Feyra. I'd never met Feyra. I have Justin. Hey, Justin. Hey, Caitlin. We already met. We just chatted before we started broadcast. Hey, Marie. Hey, Sean. And Zina.
Hello.
Hello. Blessing. So our close, nice friend of Jim and I is close to going on the other side. She is one of us, one of their, how do we say, one of their people of the same frequency, of the same mind. When I speak to her, when she speaks to me, I feel like I'm talking to myself. It's surprising how closely we think and how we resonate. And somehow it happened that cancer is getting her, and she finally thinks that maybe, that's what I hear from Jim. I didn't speak to her recently. I just got a message from her. She thinks that maybe it's time for her to just to accept it and just go. So, you know, I did that webinar on death and dying last time. I don't remember what was the cause. By some I'm blank and I'm blocked from that. But I know it's a frequent topic of mine, and the main message is just accept it, take it easy, take it philosophically, and there is a lot of conversation about that. I usually start that topic just mentioning that I investigated my genealogy, my origins and ancestors, and one of my lines, everybody has branching lines of ancestors. One of my lines comes from many generations of Jewish rabbis, Jewish priests, Jewish rabbis. They come to the 10th century, so many generations. And what priests do, including Jewish priests, they, what they do, they marry people, they officiate celebrations, they officiate the births, and they officiate the passing over and memory of people who live. And that is everyday job for them. That's a profession, to officiate that and facilitate that and connect people to tradition. So imagine yourself being with that every day. And one thing is just you have to live with it. It's something that you do every day, and you meet birth, which is a celebration, and you meet death, which is some sort of just other way of celebration, and marriage and other important things in life. So that's just one of the outlooks. You have to kind of get immune to that and do that with grace. Another thing I would often say, it's all a factor of time. If you take time out, the death is not any different from birth. If you just watch the movie of life backwards, then death becomes birth. You come from nowhere and you're born, and then you become younger, smaller, and then the birth becomes pass over to other side. So it's just an entrance and an exit, just two doors. You enter here, you exit there. And many people have near-death experiences or other side experiences, and our friend Jeannie, also has been on the other side. So for her, it's different. It's different. She's already sure she had already a chance to come back and play a little bit more. And always it comes the idea of, is it fair? Is it fair? Would she enjoy living longer, and would be useful and helpful living longer. And here I just say it's unfair. I mean, the life doesn't seem to be very fair, and just things happen. With all the guidance, all the help from other side, things happen, and I just see that they happen not to our choice, and maybe not to choice of our helpers. It's a big topic. Is it an experiment that kind of went wrong? Is it an experience which has no control? Which is, I guess, it is an unanswerable question, but it's the question which always comes to mind. What is this? Another question is, if you and I would ask everybody, if you had another choice to come back, would you choose to come to this place and this timeline, to this kind of life? And to me, I don't know the answer. I wish I have to take best and not to take worst. Not to take worst. I'm so attracted. I'm so attracted to how you type the answers. Someone said yes, and somebody said no. I'm so attracted to.
I cannot wait till I cross over. I'm
really?
waiting, counting down. Actually, Tucker said, I don't have that much. I have to get ready. And I said, I'm ready. But she said, not yet, Maria. You still have a contract to finish.
Uh-huh. Here we go. Contractor. Yeah, I'm so attracted to different other realities. I don't know what I will choose. I don't, I want to make an informed choice. But certainly I love a lot of things here.
May I say something, Max?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I posted a lot of questions.
I actually figured that out, but that's my reality. I figured that out, that we do have a choice where we want to go after we're finished here. What do you want to do? You still have a choice. The whole life is choices that you make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can make choices. So, because recently I realized not only we have soul family in with Pleiadians, I realized I only have soul family in Andromeda. So it's an option that I can, I have a choice if I want to go there, over there, or even somewhere else that I've never been. It is a choice.
Soul tourists. Let's tour the galaxy and dimensions and choose one and another. Yeah, I don't know. I guess there is a lot of a lot of my life is service. Where would I be of more best service? So I don't know. Yeah, bang for the buck, that sort of thing. I want to do something important and meaningful. Maybe I don't know. Is it from this life or is it internal? I don't know. Yeah, please join the discussion.
My feeling is I would definitely be the first in line to sign back up to come back. I mean, even going through my journey, and especially the last few parts, people from a different perception would probably look at it and be like, man, I would not want to have to come and deal with something like that again. However, through my most recent experience, though, I really truly was able to grasp the awareness and gain the humbleness of and the appreciation and the real true heartfelt gratitude for everything. And then from that, everything just truly gets better. And I understand I've had 2 near-death experiences, so where I understand I had the choice to come back. On one of those, I understand I had a choice, but I also understand that I didn't have a choice either. I recently recalled that in meditation that in my review, if you will, there was a moment that was like, you know, we're sending you down because your energy is at you're necessary for, you know, the timeline for the collectives. And these are things that happened when I was like 18 and 17, and then when I was like 20. So that was, you know, about 10 years ago, and it wasn't until recently when I really was able to start uncovering more than just the flashing out a body and seeing the Akashic records, just seeing a bunch of pictures of my life, and then coming back to body. It's taken, you know, some effort into doing it, but after I put the energy into it and allow myself to just let go of it, they started to come back, and then the awareness and understanding did too. Each one of us is here as an important, like, bridge to the next string that will continue the timeline, if you will, of our consciousness for us to exist.
Mm.
We are each a tree of life, a flower of life, and we just grow infinitely and forever together. It's real interesting.
Anybody? Caitlin?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm sorry, I don't really remember what the question was again.
No question, no, just reflections. You actually playing with a lot of spirits, right? And with a lot of, I would say, cat energies, right?
Actually, my cat is kind of laying on me purring right now, so I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, and cats are interesting. Cats are
very healing.
And they're predators. I know, they kill easy. You know, that's what they do. It's a killing machine.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a killing machine. And then they play, and then they, as Jim said, you know, remember that, you know, I don't remember who was speaking, but, oh, that was Fairy speaking. She said, one thing about the cat is that the cat is very analytical. And I'm looking at my cat, yes. He's not that smart, but he is analytical for sure. He's analytical and intuitive. They know things without thinking, so they don't have to use their brain. They just know and use their brain just to look and enjoy and analyze.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, I don't know if they use the brain to play, but they use some of that, right?
I think they definitely do. Some cats are very, very intelligent. They just know things, and they can read energy so well. They know when you're mad or sad, or they're kind of similar to dogs, but less sympathetic, I guess. At least that's what I can tell from my cat. But yeah, I feel like they're definitely really smart.
Mark, I think your cat needs pepper.
Paper? No problem. Yeah, a dog died, in my hands. It was neighbor's dog, and my dogs were nearby. So they took it easy. I don't know. Sometimes dogs take it not easy when their owners die, but when a neighbor's dog died, they just took it easy. You know, you remember in Klingons, in Star Trek, they just after the death, the body is just a shell. It doesn't mean anything. The death is, yeah, I guess Klingon approaches, it makes a lot of sense. You know, they know it's coming. I mean, that's our civilization has very strange relationship to death, right? Very strange. It's you know, it's on one hand, it's everywhere. It's in the movies, it's in the church, it's but also it's hidden. There is a lot of violent death in the movies, but there is almost no peaceful death there. And most of the deaths happen, in a very, how do you say, um, what's that word? Matter of fact thing in a hospice, in the hospital. People just, or I don't know. People know. I think people more die in the Western world in hospitals than at home. But we don't have that image of real death. We have some sort of very distorted image of death. And in other cultures, I don't know, in tribal cultures, it's so common. People stopped dying this way. Like 100 years ago, the death was so common. Like if a family had 8 children, it meant that most likely they had 8 more children died in early age just because of statistics. I mean, almost, I would say 50% of children were dying just from poor medicine. Only in invention of antibiotics changed the that now every it went from 50-60% to close to 1, 2, 3 maybe. So things change. We have a very different view of death.
It's interesting, like speaking about animals and also the cycle of life and death. I was watching something about elephants, and elephants actually, they do mourn their family. Like when elephants of the herd do pass away, they actually will stay with the elephant, like the elephant's body, and will cry, will actually grieve and mourn the death of another elephant. And they will actually instinctively know where where their family has passed, and they will actually come back to the place where they passed and actually essentially pay reverence again, if you will, and they visit these spots, if you will, too, when they pass. So it's interesting that it is something that honored, if you will, and recognized in a conscious fashion by the animal kingdom as well.
Yeah.
And in that fashion, it feels as if they recognize spirit. That's what I'm feeling, is they recognize that their spirit is still with them or resides in that area, if you will. And to me, that has something to do with consciousness and our abilities too. It's real interesting. Pardon, I'm just reflecting inside.
Egyptian culture was about death. The people lived believing that they will come back, and to come back, you had to preserve your body. So Egyptians didn't go, really didn't want to go to wars outside of Egypt, because if you died outside of Egypt and your body wasn't brought back, then you couldn't get resurrected. So they used hired troops to do the wars outside of Egypt. The officers and the people who could afford not to go, they wouldn't go. They wouldn't leave Egypt. They really looked forward to that resurrection. And then part of that is true. I mean, to resurrect a body, you need DNA. So now the science. I think it's even possible to clone Egyptians. The science is already there from mummies.
It's so neat you said that. I just came across a channeling this morning, which it was an Arcturian channeling where they were saying that the idea of mummification was a gift from the Arcturians or Sirians or something. Not recalling correctly at the moment, but the key idea is that the idea of mummification was a gift. However, there was something that was lost in translation, if you will, that didn't fully mummify the body fully as the Egyptians thought and intended. However, that it was done correctly enough that when they come back, that the material that is there is still viable and will be viable for reanimation, resurrection.
But I don't know. The soul it wouldn't be the same soul. It would be the same body, but the soul would be different. So it's not the same same as resurrection. You know, just to restore the body. That.
What is your idea and the difference between soul and spirit?
It's just the words. I mean, the spirit is usually used for everything spiritual, and the soul is. I guess the soul is largely misinterpreted. Like in Western tradition, the soul is supposed to be something like a ghostly image of the body, something that lives in the body. And in that, you know, if you translate it to modern New Age understanding of that, the soul of the Western tradition would be, I guess, the astral body, but it's just a part of something bigger, right? The astral body is just a part of the bigger spiritual body, and it's pretty sophisticated. Every time I had a chance to ask spirits if they have their own genome, you know, those who could answer that question, they said that it looks like yes, and it's much more huger than our genome. It's much more complicated, sophisticated. It has lots of structure, lots of engineering within it. When you start researching the topic about the bodies, there is like etheric body, astral body, mental body, blah blah blah, and these names are kind of interchangeable in different schools. They mean different things, but basically it's like a skewer where on one side you have physical body, and then you have multiple bodies, kind of what's the word? Sitting on that line and or encompassing one another. There are platonic solids involved in building the physical body and other bodies. Bolded-mean ratio, everything, fractals. I just at some place, I don't remember where. I think it is in my book I reference. There was I guess, in a channeling or from other side, they said that it is important for the health of the soul to be able to separate from physical body in proper healthy fashion. So in the accidents when the body is destroyed quick, the soul is so harmed that it's really hard to that it affects the future incarnations. So if the soul separates in the death, if the soul separates and goes peacefully from the body, there is like minutes to hours process of separation of the soul. Some part of the, how do you call it, etheric body. Etheric body is the closest to our body. So etheric body is somehow linked to our DNA and to our brain, and our thinking process goes between the brain and the etheric body and the soul. There is some sort of interface, pretty sophisticated on the other side, on the etheric side. So that separation has to be sort of
May I add
natural
something
and
to
healthy.
that?
Yes, go ahead.
I think you're right about that, because a lot of Muslims, that's why they don't burn their body, because the light body is connected to the to physical body with those what you call it, the energy rope, as you say.
Yep.
Yes. So if they don't disconnect properly, and it takes time, sometimes it depends on how dense your energy is. If you're dense, it takes maybe 40 days. Depends on your mindset, your energy. So if in that case, if you destroy the body, your light body still thinks alive. In some cases, they don't even understand they pass away. So it takes time for them to realize that, and you have to give them that time If that does not happen, then it's going to be hard on your light body. That's why we don't believe, and we don't do that. We don't burn our bodies.
I see.
Yeah, that's an interesting subject, especially also about cremation.
Yes.
Like I've heard, even in cremation, I've heard that the body does still feel some type of energy exchange of the heat, but not to the degree as if you were still human on fire. You know what I mean?
No, Brian. What I'm trying to explain, if you are a person who only lives in their physical form, who does not believe in higher self or anything, after you die, it takes you sometimes to realize you're like poltergeist, like ghosts.
Oh,
it takes time. It takes time. So once your actually physical body is destroyed that quickly, it would be a shock for you.
Well, I'm thinking of the soldiers on the battlefield, especially like in the colonial time, during the Civil War. You have people who will die all of a sudden in battle.
Yes.
I'm wondering how they take it, how it affects them, because there's many, as per what we call ghost, or these energy forms that are still seen, there around that area. Very historic areas.
Well, a lot of soldiers do actually prepare for battle and are prepared for the idea of losing their life. So some, if they do lose their life, I'm feeling they transition as if in a peaceful manner, if you will, even though it could be a tragic and very abrupt fashion, brutal fashion, and whatnot. However, like samurai warriors, they did meditation and whatnot on death. So there's some that are prepared for it, and there's some that aren't.
I got a question.
Hey, Farah.
Yeah. So how does your body don't know if it's not dead or not at the moment?
How does your body know?
It's not your body. It's not, Ryan. It's not your body. It's your it's like at that moment it's your consciousness. Actually, it's not even your brain, because you don't have a brain, because you were not aware of of it here. It takes time for you to realize what is going on.
So basically, the brain can still be active though at the time.
It's not your brain, though. That's what I'm telling you. It's not your brain, like this human brain.
Yeah, there is a lot of near-death experiences, clinical death experiences, where people exit their body temporarily and they see that their medical personnel tries to revive the body, and they see it usually from the saline. And some of them really want to live, and some of them, stay near the body. So it's clearly outside. People are clinically dead. Their brain is sort of is dead for minutes, and then they come back. Sometimes they come back quick, and sometimes it's just a miracle. It's like really the body was dead for a while, and then a miracle happens. Higher spiritual, like angelic forces, decide that it is very important for the person to come back, and a miracle happens, and the dead body just starts breathing again and revives.
So in a keep it real moment, in my situation where I technically had an overdose, that's essentially where higher self and angelic and source, they overrode the situation. They're like, no, this isn't what's going to take place. We're going to imbue your life force and tether you back down to your vessel.
So how long can your body be deceased before you can't come back to it anymore if you wanted to?
Normally, there is a nice broadcast about that. Real science, really well done. It's Radiolab. Radiolab is great scientific but close. The people who speak, they know what they saw, and they're very enlightened. So it varies, but usually minutes and hours. But coma situation can last for half a year. There are people who were in coma for half a year and then come back. But coma is when your brain is not fully dead. It's just it doesn't communicate to outside. So dead brain, I would say minutes. But really, yeah, go ahead.
I know when the body starts decaying, then that's the point of no return.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, usually, they tell about the story that in ancient times, how do you define if somebody died? They bring a glass to your mouth, and if you don't breathe, there is no vapor there. Then that would be, or your heartbeat stops. And then at recent times, like about 80 years ago, even closer, 60 years ago, they just declared that it's not the heart that defines, it's brain function. Yeah, brain function, because you can keep the heart forever, but if the brain is dead, then the person it's point of no return, that sort of thing. But I guess your main question was, if you left the body, how do you know where you should go back or to go to the light and go to the other side? And that's where usually the welcome party is coming, and they guide you. So typically people are met by some people they know well, by friends and family who are on the other side, who are not incarnated yet, and they welcome them and say that it's time for you to go. I have an experience of that sort, not with myself, but I had a very nice close relative with me. There were two old ladies in their 80s and 90s, and one just, when I was in the next room, one there said, they came for me, it's time for me to go, and she was ready. She saw the welcome party, they came for her, and her sister, who was in the room, just didn't let it happen. She said, nope, I want you here. It's not, I override the decision. Come back? No, next time. And she was very strong-willed and really wanted things to her sister to live a little longer, and they let her stay. So that was my first-hand experience.
So what do they call it? How long does it take for the reincarnation process to start?
Good question. It's your choice. There is a lot of literature on that. Our favorite books, Michael Newton, The Journey of the Soul, and something else of the soul. I don't remember exactly. Give me a hint. The Journey of the Soul, and there is something else of the soul.
Is it the Night of the Soul?
No, not the Night. That doesn't matter. Two books, and he collected a lot of stories from hypnotic regressions, and there the souls tell a lot of information because he asked the right questions and he got the right answers about incarnations. Basically, sometimes it's very soon, like maybe the reason for you to die now is because there is an opportunity to be incarnated right away. There is a pair of people in love, and it's right place for you to be, so you can get born right away. So if you're ready, if this, the play, the game is there is an opportunity in that game. Maybe that's that's a good time for you to live because it's a good time for you to come back soon. But typically, yes, go ahead.
About suicide, if you killed yourself before the time is right?
Good question. Let me finish the previous. I remember your question. So, but typically it takes much longer. Usually it's the time there is not equivalent to time here. The time there is stretchable. It's very, very stretchable. So you can, but you basically, as after after the flights, usually it's when people fly and then they have kind of, or especially during the last war, the big war, the people go in battle, they come back, and then they discuss what happened, and they get some sort of review of their performance. And that review of their performance, of our performance, happens after we come to the other side. And usually you have guides who help you to review your life, and then you have some sort of homework where you replay your life, most important parts of your life, and you replay it from different perspectives, from your own perspective, just to remember what happened, and from the perspective of every person involved, especially the ones which were offended by you. When you were in rage, righteous rage, or some other way you offended someone, you come back to that scenario and just relive that life as your other self, as another person, and get harmed, and then you learn your lesson there. So that's a big part of before you go back, you have to kind of relive your life many times in many scenarios, and you get lots of help and guidance how to do that. And then you come back. So many people don't come back at all, or don't come back for a while. Some stay there. There are choices to serve as a spirit guide to others, and there is a choice to be a teacher in the spirit world. But the Earth at this time is so populated because most of the spirits want to come back and experience the ascension. So that's the explanation we hear often why there is so many people here on Earth. That's because there is very few spirits out there, because they all want to be playing on the field, especially the experienced one want to be playing on the field to be on Earth during the time of ascension. Any comments before we go to the question of suicide? All right. Suicide. Basically, just you waste your body and you waste your opportunity, right? Again, in that Michael Newton's book, there was a great example where someone comes back after having done a suicide, after killing herself, and she felt. I mean, she tells a story where she became pregnant from someone who didn't have from someone bad, and it was a shame for the family, and the family would be ashamed, and she would lose her life, and it was in some sort of strict rules of, I don't remember which country, maybe England, of 19th century. So, and in poor family. So for her it was it was no exit from that situation. So she killed herself, and she comes back to the other side, and they say, how much can you allow yourself that self-pity, and how much you can waste good bodies? It's again you didn't pass the lesson. You had so many good opportunities there. You could if you told your parents that you're pregnant, instead of killing yourself, they would actually accept it and help you, and you would raise your child. You would possibly have to move to another village, but it could have resolved well, and you just escaped in again. It wasn't the first suicide that Saul did in her incarnations, and that sort of she was the word reprimanded, but with love, and then you basically to get a good body and to get a good situation, you have to deserve it. So if you are a beginner, you might get a spoiled body and live like for a few seconds and then die at birth or something. But if you are a good driver and give a promise, then you live, you get a better body and more opportunities to explore. And
that's kind of messed up, though, right?
Say again?
That's sort of messed up. You can live for a couple seconds and die after you're born.
Yeah, that's what Bashar says. Some spirits which have no experience living on Earth, like extraterrestrials from very different civilizations, they want to experience just few seconds of life on Earth. They take the bodies which are supposed to die very soon, and that's what Bashar said, and it makes sense. Basically, most of us, because we're here in adult age, we have tons of experience living on Earth. We are somewhere in between. We are not unexperienced souls and we are not super experienced souls, because at a certain point, after you kind of get lots of experiences, you don't come to Earth to do simple things. You come to Earth to do some other things. So typically, the age of soul is similar to age of a human in life. Like a young soul is very stupid. It cannot really do anything. It wouldn't be able to survive in this. It's like a baby soul wouldn't be able to survive in this civilization. So it has to kind of mature a little bit. It has to have a lot of help. Maybe it would be a loved child and have a lot of support from parents and not much trials and tests, and life would be easy. And then as you grow, you kind of a young soul with a lot of kind of energy, and you're not very smart, so you try a lot of different things. This was like how do you call it? Pirates or something, like very, very active and very entrepreneurial. And then as you grow, you start doing big things, and then as you grow more, you start doing like service things. You come here not because you want to experience things, but because you want to teach other people. And you see those souls, especially when some children are so wise. You see, they are so balanced. They're not like us. They are very balanced, very wise, very successful. They don't ask for more than they can handle. So, and it's not the age of the person, it's just the age of the soul. You can see this kind of experienced, balanced souls which are very, very loving and serving, and show just by their example how balanced can you be, how you can shine without getting into trouble.
I heard there's people that can tell when you're about to die or not, like months ahead.
Yes.
I heard people can tell when you're gonna die. Is that true?
I heard that too. I think that's true. I mean, sometimes it's your decision. Bashar says no one dies without deciding to go. Obviously, it happens often. It would happen on a spirit level, but some people decide to go just on this physical level. They just say, it's time for me to go. I'm ready.
So you mean like children that are like stillborns or aren't able to be carried to full term. Another idea that was introduced to me was that these babies at these entities were also possibly healing experiences for the body of the mother to be healed, possibly just that the baby entity just wanted to experience what it feels like first, to first gather whether it really truly wants to be here. However, what you said also resonates with me as well, as what you said as well.
Yeah, Justin, you're right on about that. It was the experience when the child comes in here and dies at an early age, or the baby. Usually that choice that was made at a higher level, but when it comes down and it passes over, very early in the stages of life, it's usually a sign also to bring healing to those around. Usually it's seen that the child never really got to live, but yet at that moment it was given an opportunity for those family members or friends around that child to maybe shift its perspective into more of raising a vibration of love, more compassion, understanding, maybe a little bit more about about bringing their soul some kind of upliftment. You know what I mean? It's to really help balance that being, or to give them an opportunity, something pertaining to death itself, to bring that. We keep judging, maybe like from our perspective, wasn't why so sudden? That's not fair.
Yeah, because last year that was definitely a very profound experience to have experienced, especially when I even have confirmed validation of the night it happened, actually having an astral experience where I left my body and actually was able to see the soul contract, if you will, and the soul that came down into my twin flame. And then, to have everything happen and whatnot, it definitely was something like, okay, looking for silver linings and things, as to, okay, what are things that are beneficial, things that we learned from, that we grew from, and definitely felt it from that. It definitely was real to me and was profound to me, and definitely put me in a different state of consciousness and being, and then to have that experience, it was I've experienced death of family and friends. I watched my grandfather, pass, actually leave his body. He was in a coma for 3 days pretty much, and we were trying to get me a plane ticket and get me to Texas to see him, and they just kept on telling him, he'll be here. And I finally got there, and after I got there, he had opened up his eyes. They told him, he's coming. I get there, and I grab his hand, and he opens his eyes, turns his head, and he couldn't talk, but I just felt like he was, speaking with me through his eyes, and I could feel that energy, and I wasn't able to sleep. Everyone else was asleep, and I just remember, sitting at my grandpa's side, and then I went from being at his side to sitting in the chair, and it was interesting because now when I'm able to reflect on it, I actually am able to reflect on it with, my new perspective and with different eyes, if you will. And I'm able to actually feel and perceive what was going on in that, and that time from when I got there and him coming to briefly, and then to everyone being asleep, and the only one that was awake was me, and I was there to witness him sign off and just go in peace. And it was just that. It was very peaceful. He had stomach cancer, but he went away at peace, though, and it's interesting now too, because I had the aha moment a couple times where I was able to hear, if you will, what he was saying to me with his eyes and his heart, and those are things that are really, they're happy things, and they're things that when I reflect on, they bring happy thoughts, and it doesn't it doesn't bring a low vibration idea of death. And especially now, you know, having new understandings of spirit and relationship with spirit and myself as well, and understanding, you know, the nature of the soul and spirit.
And Justin, well, it's like, what have you see how much experience that you've taken away from that? Just the fact that you've come to the near-death experience yourselves, and those that you've loved, you know, around you. Look how you have grown from that. You see, you don't really fear death, do you?
No, I mean, my cousin 2 years ago, Christmas Eve was you know, his life ended because of a drunk driver, you know, a young drunk driver, and I had an experience where I toiled with, I truly did toil with death of my own choosing. However, I didn't feel if it really was. I almost felt as if I was like in a trance or something. And the next thing I heard someone say something, and the next thing I really remember is, you know, this person like helped two people helping me out. And then after that, that's when, you know, I came back, and when I got back from the hospital, you know, there's a book that just like magically appeared in my locker about Buddhism, about Taoism, a book called The Four Agreements. So I started reading those and get out of my forced vacation at the time, we'll call it. I would go to the different religious, you know, church meetings and groups, and it really did change. It really changed, and having all those experiences, it really has, you know, transformed my idea and my feelings, because I remember when I was a child, like even growing up into my young teens, like I'd see death and stuff in movies and whatnot, but when I watch TV shows about the idea of, like, you know, the sun exploding and the whole solar system like being non-existent, or like a giant asteroid, you know, coming in the planet, that used to like literally bring me to tears.
Oh, one thing is important. How do we remember the person that is gone? And somehow, often the death shadows the life of the person, especially if the death was from disease. Then we remember that sick person dying on the bed, especially in all the details of the decay of the body. And I guess it's not the best. It's a way, but it may be not the best way to remember the person.
Right, Max, if I may. It really is. It's like more the people. Usually, the people that die, we tend to remember them how they died. That's usually the more recent memories that we have is like how they died or the tragedy. But we keep forgetting that it's more really how they lived. Remembering the brilliance of how they lived and what you took away from that person. And, you know, people will talk about the tragedy, but it should be, I remember some of the channelers talking about it's a celebration.
Yeah.
It should be a celebration for their passing, but, you know, in a way that really brings out the best of how they lived and how they contribute. Yes.
Bashar says that, you know, while we are mourning the person here, remember there is a celebration on the other side, because death here is birth on the other side.
Right.
It's a reunion there. Michael Newton describes several of those reunions. They are wonderful because they can, on the other side, they can be very creative and have feasts of with a lot of beauty and imagination. You know, he describes just how friends and family meet the newly arrived person, and they have a feast there. Very, very visual, very attractive to that person from that life.
Yeah, in some of the channels, and I've heard of Cryon talk about this. It's like when you're on the other side, when you go back home, that re-evaluation, reintegration of spirit in a way, or your lifetimes. You're looking in your past and the probabilities of your future. When you go back and you see that, you're right. It's a celebration of coming home, and for their side of the veil in spirit, they're like, wow, here's a human who's willing or spirit willing to take on a physical form and a physiology, and forget in a way that it is spirit, that it's a part of spirit, and that's a big leap of faith. It really is, to come here to forget who you are, to forget your spirit side. You see?
I got a question.
Go ahead.
So, if you die and then you don't want to come back on this planet, can you go choose another planet?
Generally, yes. There is advisory committee. Then sometimes they might, advise against or for this. But I know that yes, it is possible. Typically, this Earth is so attractive that the soul that gets to here don't want to leave. They want to reincarnate over and over. It's even a vicious cycle. Buddha taught that stop doing that. get to.
Because I want to move. I want to go on a certain planet that I want to go on. Because I don't like how this planet's working out.
I don't know. Would the collective consciousness of that other planet, would they allow you in that state?
I feel like I could, as I want to go on a canine planet.
Maybe you are from there. Maybe they just sent you for representation to watch the ascension, and after you watch it, you come back as planned.
It's funny, Max, that you bring that up. I've heard that when you come to this planet, whether it's thousands, hundreds of thousands of years ago, when your soul essence comes to this planet, it aligns with the crystalline grid of the planet. Your records, or what you call the Akash, is in this state of absorption into the planet. What you do as you walk on the planet, everything is recorded in your Akash, and in the what you call the what is that? What are the things in the bodies that have different colors?
Chakras.
Chakras, yes. But it aligns with the magnetic of the field of the Earth, also with your body, because the body is also in the DNA is magnetic. But it's fascinating how your memories and everything, that it's recorded into that, and what you do here, how it transitions and it raises the collective of the planet into the next lifetime, and into the next lifetime, as you come back again and again on the planet. So it's really helping the planet to ascend.
How do I find out if I'm from another planet?
Speak to different channelers and ask. They usually the people on the other side, they know, and often they tell you.
Okay.
Not even just that. If you truly feel in your heart that you're from somewhere different specifically, then that's kind of a straight up answer. So not even just relying, just feeling and knowing your intuition is telling you what the truth is.
Because I feel like I'm from another planet with canines.
There you go. Do you feel truly that's what it is?
Yes.
And there you go. There's the answer. No need to ask any.
So you can ask more questions now. Which species, what they are, and what's the story, and blah blah blah.
Exactly.
I sometimes go to psychic fairs. Just Google for psychic fair nearby. Usually they announced at meetup.com, meetup.com. There are psychic fairs are announced, and you go there, and for $20 you can get a psychic reading. And most of the psychics are very psychic. They tell you. I Have you heard me speak Pleiadian? Go ahead, speak Pleiadian. Who is that? Blue triangle, oh, green triangle. Go ahead.
Green triangle, Sabrina. Speak Pleiadian, come on.
You don't know who the green triangle is, Max?
I'm behind the time. I remember your previous avatars.
Come on, speak Pleiadian.
What, my Pleiadian? Ariona kia lanona kia ko oriana na kaskioko oriataka. Tosono ku ka tuku alana na kioko tuku ataka. I don't think that's Pleiadian. I think that's Sirian. No, I was listening to the song that Maria.
Sabrina, that's why I ask you. I get.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Maria.
She got muted.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Sabrina.
Hello.
Hello.
De omo oto reengo do man de so ha de ka ha mo.
Oh my God.
Deshri Lekumanda. Feels like a bunch of stuff's getting crammed in my head, but like
I have reptilian.
Toko shana akakiatanana kioruana naskuruata aniosoku osoruana kiyoku olana katu sana ariona saku tenio kulua sanio kotu oruono skuorutu. That's Pleiadian. The song sounds slightly different. Hello, Max. How are you?
I need to go in a minute. I'm happy. Let me say one more thing, which I think could be helpful to some. To celebrate the life of the relative who has gone. One of the things is to remember the stories.
Hi.
The stories. Hi, Adriana. The stories about their lives, and when people come together to mourn the death, that's maybe a good time to remember the good about the person and important things about the person and important stories. And you start digging into these stories, and you go to family albums and collect these photographs, and you look closer, especially now with this all electronics. You can take the photograph and magnify it, and you see the face much better, and you can see it on tiny photograph, and then you read from the face a lot of the past. On some of the photographs, you can see people in certain situation, and you just realize what was happening, and you just discover a lot in that past life. And in this past life, you discover a lot of things, and that kind of gives you a new perspective and a new relation with that life, and you learn about yourself as well, because that's what happened to me, with my investigations. I collected all photographs and all the stories about my mother, father, and grandfather and grandmother, and it is a big part of my life now. and many things I just realized. Maybe this year I realized something which I had the facts, but my life experience allows me to get a new perspective on what was happening back then. One moment I guess I can share. It was a moment when my grandfather, my very close to me grandfather, was close to death, and I think what happened, my grandmother traded her life for his life, so he recovered and she died. I think that's what happened. So this kind of realizations change a lot of perspective.
Oh my gosh, Max! Thank you for that idea. I think that's what my grandpa did for my grandma. Because she's still going strong, and that was when I was 18. I just turned 30 on Saturday, so 12 years ago, and she's still going strong too. She's like even dating and stuff still.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, she's doing something that's interesting.
And last advice I wanted to give, like when you leave the house, usually the youngest sibling keeps the house and everybody else leaves. And they keep the photographs and and albums and whatever letters. And then if they leave the house, sometimes they should trash it. Make sure that this invaluable photographs and records are not trashed. Make copies now electronically. It's very easy. Don't because of the conflicts in the family, often people don't talk to each other, and when you finally ask, where are those photographs I wanted, and they say, oh, sorry, we did renovation and we lost them. So if somebody dies soon after, and it's also a very good excuse for reunion and forgiveness and integration in the family. Go after the photographs and the letters and make copies. You don't have to take the originals, but now it's easy. Just take your telephone and photograph. And write a book. Write a book for your children. Write a book about your ancestry and about your life and lives of your close relatives. It's a fascinating story, and you learn so much. There are traits that go in the souls, and there are traits that go in genetics. And some of the behavior traits we inherit genetically from our parents and grandparents. So you learn a lot about yourself, and it's a learning experience. All right, let's do the blessing and wrap up. We can continue maybe some other time. Brian, Sabrina, everybody.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
Sorry, that was my cat.
Okay, I guess I'll do it.
Thank you.
Tananaka Kyoko no Akiaku alia Kaskioro Tuno Asiaka. Tioronos Kurata Alionos Kuruata. Sonua Anukua Sari Kia Kio. Oronos Kuarakiati. Halanas Kuru Ananas Kariotoko. Sono Kuruaka Anasu Oruanas Kiaka. To Sariono Moskuarata Tanyo Oruanas Kiorotu No Aratu Olonosku Oruna Suarata Tashiuka Ario Sani Karioso Oruanasi Keskio Naka Atu Toso Noaka Ario Sanaka To Saranaka Ka. Look within and see the light that shines. See the light that comes from within you, that has been there and will always be. See the eternity within you. See the light that shines. See the light that flourishes, that emanates from within all of you.
Bless you. Bless you.
And find the love, find the peace, find it within you, within each other. See that there was always you in eternity, you in the now, you in forever. And love one another in a way which honors you and all there is. Amen.
Amen. Green leaves, green plant sprouts, goes up from the ground as phoenix goes. The flames have gone, the dust gives rise to new plants and new flowers, and the roots go as a tree upside down into the ground and intertwine and communicate and merge with each other, making a carpet of life. We die every day. We leave this world for the world of spirit in our dreams. We are dead at night and we come back to earth with a breath of awakening. Peace and love be with you. Remember and rise as phoenix, resurrect, get reborn every day, and be in joy no matter what.
Thank you.
Namaste.
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 Namaste.